Hello, welcome to the SolarQuotes Vodcast, episode 15. I'm your host, Ronald Brockles, and I haven't pooped in over 24 hours. So, for once, my critics are correct. I am full of shit. So, how are you feeling today, Finn?
Probably better than you, Ronald.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. I hear you've got some wonderful things lined up for us to talk about today.
Yes, I have.
Excellent. Let's get right to it.
How much sleep did you get last night?
1 hour, 10 minutes.
That explains a lot. This could be an interesting podcast.
Okay, probably a lie. Say 4 or 5 minutes to get to sleep, so say 1 hour, 4 minutes.
Okay. Why did you only get 1 hour sleep?
I was writing an article and I got a bee in my bonnet.
Is it going to be worth it?
No. Not from my point of view. From your point of view, I'm sure you'll love it. It's got, a dingo nado in it and all sorts of things. So it'll be great.
Should we talk about inspections?
Yes, we
Hot
should talk
topic
about
this week.
inspections. Please tell me all about inspections.
So a solar installer, real veteran solar installer, John Inglis from Positronic Solar.
Yep. Yeah, the commanding presence. I can feel it radiating from his photograph.
Yeah, so he put out a petition a while ago. He wants 100% inspections, or close to that. Importantly, carried out by the state electrical bodies. So these are guys or girls whose only professional mission is to inspect solar systems, which is very different from what happens now. At the moment, you get the Clean Energy Regulator organise inspections. They do, depends who you ask, between 1 and 3%, I think, of systems get inspected. They don't get inspected by dedicated inspectors. They get inspected by regular installers who do it as a side gig.
Regular installers with a good rep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What John wants to happen is 100% inspections by the state electrical regulator. So, for example, in South Australia, that would be the Office of the Technical Regulator. So I invited John to write a blog post.
Yeah.
Blog post, try and get a even wider audience.
Mm-hmm.
And you can read the blog post. I think what he asked for is very sensible.
Yeah.
I think dodgy solar systems are a root cause problem. They're kind of the lowest level problem. And if we solve that, so many other problems go away. At the moment, if someone fails a Clean Energy Regulator inspection, it gets passed to the Clean Energy Council. And the Clean Energy Council are doing something. And the industry's, I think, less dodgy than it would be without the Clean Energy Council doing their stuff. But they're not doing enough and they haven't fixed the problem. And it is a problem.
Yes.
I don't think anyone can say that it's not a problem in Australia.
Definitely. I agree with John 100%, except where I don't.
And before you get onto that, at the end of John's blog post, he links to a petition that he's doing. And what was really disappointing, it was on about 600 signatories before I published the blog post, and now it's on 865, and he wants at least 1,000. So only a couple of hundred people have signed it since we put the blog post up, compared to many thousands of people that have read the blog post. So that's a bit disappointing.
Oh, still time. He can get 1,000.
Sign John's petition.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on inspections? You wrote one shortly after.
Yes, so I agree, definitely. We need independent, corruption-resistant inspectors who specialise, or at least are well-trained in how to do inspections. Because the inspectors we have now haven't got the really tight focus on inspections, which a professional would have. And one of their current inspectors inspect the system, then send another one, and they've gotten very different reports. Oh, it's perfect. Oh, this is substandard. Yeah,
that's not good.
So it's clearly that's a problem which needs to be addressed. So I agree with John. We do everything he says, except it doesn't need to be 100% of all systems. Random checks will be sufficient and will reduce the price. So we'll get basically the same result at a considerably lower cost.
So if it's $250, the cost of an inspection,
Yep.
you inspected a third of the systems, there'd be a 1 in 3 chance that someone would get caught if they were a dodgy installer, and it would cost, $80? You'd have to add $80 to the cost of a system.
Yeah, except it's not a 1 in 3 chance they'd be caught. They would...
It's a 100% chance they do more than 3 systems. Almost.
Depends how you do it, but let's go with yes to that.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's not 100%, but yeah.
Yeah.
But hang on, Ronald.
Yep, hanging on.
We already have 100% inspections in Victoria.
They're not independent. They're not, corruption resistant. They're not specifically trained for inspections.
And you can choose your own inspector.
Yeah, that's what I mean by not corruption resistance. It's choose your own inspector.
I wish you could choose your own tax auditor.
I think some people do.
All right.
Yeah, if you're at a certain echelon.
I was talking to an installer who will remain nameless, who did an installation in Victoria. It failed an inspection for something he considered absolutely ridiculous. So he just got another inspector.
Yep.
And they passed it.
Yay! Sounds great, that system.
So that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But in Tasmania, we have 100% inspections now.
Yes, and that works very well for keeping out shoddy installers.
That's what the Tasmanian installers are telling us. They even tell us that some of the really, really cheap mobs have basically given up, said it's too hard in Tasmania, and aren't operating there anymore, which, if the only reason they're cheap is because they're doing shoddy, dodgy installs, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And the important thing about the Tasmanian scheme is it's the local electrical regulator that's doing it.
Independent.
Although I did speak to another installer who was not a Tasmanian, not originally from Tasmania, and he complained that he found it. He thought they were picking on him for not being a Tasmanian installer.
Yeah, that's possible. That can happen.
So there are a few issues in Tasmania.
Yeah, you need to be very professional and have a good code of conduct. Be very ethical about what you do.
So Tasmania is not perfect, but it's more perfect than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's good.
And those problems can be fixed by people just...
Or minimised.
Not being mean to non-Tasmanians.
Yes. Come on. Plenty of people have one head, Tasmanians. Leave us alone.
Okay. Let's talk about a little bet we had. 4 or 5 weeks ago, I reckon.
Yeah.
We had a bet on how many people would answer yes to the question, do you want consumption monitoring with your solar system, when they filled out the form to get quotes on our site. And we have a full month of data in. What did you think it would be?
I have no idea. Maybe I said a third?
Yeah, I think I said about 2/3.
Yeah. And who was correct?
65%.
Woohoo! That's... Oh, come on. You're a whole percentage point off. No, that's pretty much spot on. That's wonderful work there, Finn.
Thank you very much.
It's almost as if you know your stuff. It's exactly as though you know your stuff.
And we don't encourage people to answer yes. We say, the question says, do you want consumption monitoring with your solar? If you don't know what this question means, click no. And we also have a little pop-up that explains exactly what consumption monitoring is. I think it tells them that it does add to the cost. It should do. Yeah, it does. 65%. Jono's nodding. Jono knows more about this stuff than me.
Yep.
So that's 65% of people want consumption monitoring. That's interesting.
That's impressive.
If you spread it out by state, Tasmanians are the least likely to want it.
They're the least likely to need it because they have good inspections.
And Australian capital territorians are the most likely to want it.
Because they're richer than average?
I don't know. Read into that what you will.
Reposit recommends it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's the Reposit effect. They like fancy monitoring. Interesting, I had this support email come in a couple of days ago talking about monitoring. Opened our electricity this week to find out that our solar had not been on for the last quarter. It looks like the solar turned off prior to the 12th of Jan, possibly a couple of weeks prior. Contacted the installer, who advised it was likely due to a power surge. Sounds like circuit breakers tripped, which is what it's meant to do.
Yep.
To protect the inverter. So CB's gone, inverter's tripped off, and it stayed off for 3 months. I asked why we didn't see any red lights or an alarm sound. Apparently this doesn't happen in this situation. Yeah, if you kill the power to the inverter, there's no power to the alarm system. We didn't realise this could happen. Our origin electricity bill is double what it normally is, $780. It is a significant sum of money for our family, and we are going to find it difficult to pay. This is one of the scenarios that I talk about in my book. You know, 3 months, worst case, 3 months goes, your solar system's not producing anything, and your bill's massively bigger than what you've got used to because you're spoilt by having solar.
Yes.
So interestingly, consumption monitoring wouldn't necessarily have flagged this, but a good third-party monitoring system on the generation would.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be solar analytics. That'll tell you if you're less than 100%. A lot of the standard inverter monitoring, the good ones, will tell you if the thing trips off completely, because there'll be a thing in the cloud looking at the inverter. It'll go, oh, inverter appears to be tripped. So yeah, good monitoring system would have saved this lady
$100.
hundreds of dollars, and certainly paid for itself with the last electricity bill.
Yeah. One thing I will mention, you might think that if you get billed monthly, you'll be safer because you'll be checking every month if your solar's on. But I will warn you, a lot of those monthly bills are just estimated. That if you don't have a smart meter.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, you might probably be a bit better off, but it's not an ideal solution.
Now, without knowing any of the details of this, do you think the installer has any obligation here to help her out?
That's a tough one. I think installers need to communicate to people that this can happen, and they, if there's no lights or whatever on your inverter, something's gone wrong, and contact them, check it out.
I think if you're I think if you're an installer and you install a system that hasn't got a monitoring system that will alert the people if the inverter trips off, you should advise them to at least just have a look at their inverter every week. Check the power lights on, check what the generation was. Yeah. At least check it's on.
It's especially relevant when it's new, because there's 2 times when inverters fail: when they're really new, because there's some components being put in backwards, and when they're really old. Or, for a good inverter, when they're really old. Yeah.
So monitoring it really can save the consumer money. I mean, it's not just a nice to have. I think I've been banging on about it for ages. It's really important. Good monitoring that will tell you if something's wrong. Let's go to the worst review of the week.
Oh no!
For a Adelaide company that's had many ups and downs. Got to get a group.
Yeah, you got to get a group.
You got to get a group. These guys were huge about 6 years ago. Then they literally went bankrupt. They are operating again. I don't think they sell solar anymore. I guess someone bought the remnants from the administrator. This is a review from when they did sell solar. They didn't have a great reputation for solar. We bought the GGG solar when they were advertising payment plans for the elderly to install solar. Sounds dodgy.
Yeah.
We are still paying for a system that does not work at all.
Ooh.
So they've gone broke and they're still paying for it. I'm not sure of the legals about that. I guess
because,
they owe it to
the finance company will.
The finance company that obviously don't give a shit about the fact that their system doesn't work, which is worrying.
Or they were dealing with a potentially dodgy customer.
I can imagine who the finance company is. But there is no one to contact, don't know what to do. Totally crap system. The inverter is no longer functioning, don't know what to do. Would not buy anything off any company that is associated with them rip-offs. Not happy. GGG, just to make it clear, we're never a SolarQuotes client. They should engage a good local installer to come and fix the system, assuming it's salvageable. I'm sure it is. You'd hope it is. An orphaned solar owner.
Yeah, very sad.
Got to get a group. Probably 8 years ago, had the dumbest solar promotion ever. So this is back when 1.5 kilowatt solar systems were all the rage.
Yes, you see them everywhere on roofs in Adelaide. 1.5 systems.
If you bought a 1.5 kilowatt solar system off Got to Get a Group, they threw in a free plasma TV.
Plasma TV.
Plasma TV.
The ones that get really hot and heat up the whole room.
Yeah, so 1.5 kilowatt hour system generate on average 6 kilowatt hours a day. You looked at the specs of the plasma TV they were offering, looked at the Australian energy efficiency survey how many hours on average it would be on a day, the TV used a lot more electricity than the 1.5 kilowatt system would generate. So their bills would have gone up. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Bad move.
GGG. Should we look at a good review?
Yes, please go to a good review.
From in my opinion, the best named solar installer in Australia.
Ooh.
Banana Solar.
Banana Solar?
These are guys.
Are they in Queensland?
No, they're in New South Wales.
Oh.
Campbelltown, I think.
Okay.
Western Sydney.
Climate change. Maybe they're growing bananas in Sydney now. Who knows?
Maybe they just really like bananas.
I really like bananas.
Maybe they're a bit bent. Only joking. They're quite a new client. They're the good guys. 5 stars. 4.8 stars by the looks of it. I was very impressed with Banana Solar on a number of things. Communications. Very quick to respond to the initial inquiry and any further questions I had. 2. System design to determine the right size system. They came to the house, you like this, and used a drone to measure the roof. Then some software to determine the panel layout. See, that's the way to size a system
I
in
mentioned
2019.
drones in one of my recent articles.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few installers doing it. It's still very rare, but I mean, if you want to impress the customer. The software used to determine the generation and potential savings. Boris spent a lot of time talking through the options. So again, they've got software that automatically shows them, what to expect in terms of savings and generation. Very smart. Installation carried out by a third-party contractor, which some people don't like, but if you do it right, it's fine. But Perry was there at the beginning to make sure everything was going smoothly. So they obviously care about who's doing the third-party installation and supervise it initially, at least. Post-installation, follow-up has been thorough as well. Price, last but not least, the price was very appealing, highly recommended. Good on you, Banana Solar.
Way to go. I'm, a little suspicious you're stealing Queensland bananas, but I forgive you. Sound like great guys.
Cool.
Gals. Who knows?
What about this one?
Oh, Britain's first 100 plus hours of coal-free electricity use. That's great, considering they used to get 97% of their electricity from coal in the 50s.
Wow.
According to the article.
Wow.
Yeah, I was surprised.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I thought, they'd have some hydro dams or something, but nope, 97%.
At time of filming, this has actually been going for a week now.
Yep. So, what? So it's over 128 hours, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a week's worth. So.
Good stuff. Good. Did they just, shut down the one remaining coal power plant for spring cleaning? Or, it's spring now there.
Would you like to see how they generated all their electricity?
Sure.
There you go.
Oh.
The big grey one's gas.
Yeah, that's a lot of gas. Thank you, Margaret Thatcher.
Light grey one's nuclear. It's then wind, solar power, imports, biomass, and the tiny little black slither at the top is large hydro.
That's a lot of solar for England.
There's a lot of solar for England.
Yeah.
What are we in, May? That's impressive. So I think it's about 23% renewables, 24% renewables.
Yep.
Obviously a lot of gas, quite a lot of nuclear. And I would reckon that a lot of those imports are nuclear because they'll be coming from France.
Yes, that's very likely.
So what do you think about that?
Well, it's great. It shows that you can kick the coal habit. We need to do that. We need to do it soon. They're burning a hell of a lot of gas. That's probably why they pay an average of about 7 pence per kilowatt hour for the wholesale electricity in the UK.
How much of that's going to Putin?
Well, hey, Russia is in a really precarious situation. They're being bullied by Europe. Anytime Europe wants, they can reduce their gas use, they can build more efficiency, they can build more renewables. I feel sorry for those poor Russians.
And they've got my third favourite energy source there.
Oh, which one's that?
Uranium.
Oh, uranium. Yes. The power of the atom.
Where do you think they'd be without that nuclear? What would be making up the shortfall? Do you reckon? Coal?
Coal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that people are quite rightly celebrating the fact that The UK's gone without coal for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But what is interesting is I imagine quite a lot of those people celebrating are vehemently anti-nuclear, and it couldn't have done it without nuclear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm not gonna fight with you about this. You know, trying to. All I'll say is, renewables. There are people in Australia. I don't want to encourage them who are a bit nutty on this topic. They want to build nuclear reactors here. I don't want to throw them any meat. So I'm just going to say, you can use your imagination for other countries. I don't care. But in Australia, nuclear power is not going to pay for itself. Renewables will. Wind, solar, build some pumped hydro, whatever.
In Australia, I agree. Now let's get back onto the nuclear fusion reactor in the sky.
Yep.
Longi have brought out a 450 watt solar panel. That's big.
Yeah, it is big. And the panel is also
Because
big.
the panel's massive.
Well, it's just under 2 square meters, a hair under 2 square meters.
25 kilograms.
Yeah, that's heavy actually, because it's a 72 cell panel, but they've been cut in half. So some people will call it a 144 cell panel, just to confuse people. And it's a very, at 450 watts, it's very efficient, 22.5%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's excellent.
But you've worked that out from...
Yeah.
Because they didn't actually put that on the press release.
No, they did not.
And they didn't actually put the size of the panel on the press release. That's a guess.
Good.
Based on
good
what's
point.
already
Yeah,
existing.
It could be 27 square meters. We don't know, but you know, logically, it's almost certainly going to be the same size as their.
Dear solar panel manufacturers, if you want to put out a press release about a new solar panel, put a link to the data sheet, or at least put the efficiency and the size in the bloody press release. I think, yeah.
Yeah, just saying over 450 watts leaves us guessing. It could be, you know, great. You know, it could be this big. It could be the size of a queen mattress. We don't know.
Last thing I thought I'd put this in.
Oh, okay. What's this about?
Holden advertising campaign all over the internet this morning. Future-proof the future.
Oh.
By buying a fossil-fueled ute.
Huh?
You see a problem with that?
Yeah. Don't we? Is this like that they want the kind of future they had in Back to the Future 2? Is that what they're aiming for? With Trump. Sorry, Biff.
They're guaranteeing the resale value of their petrol-powered vehicle or diesel-powered vehicles many years down the line, which is a brave move.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I need to look at the small print.
I see a big 3 there. What's that mean?
Oh, that's about the warranty, I think.
Oh.
3 years free. 3 years free servicing. I think it's very brave if they're going forward more than 3 years to guarantee the future value of a petrol or diesel-powered vehicle.
Yes. I think there's going to be very large demand for electric cars because, well, people like vroom, and electric cars have plenty of vroom, except they're quiet, so it's more like vroom. They go excellent performance. So many people are looking for performance and not fuel efficiency or anything else, so they're going to buy the electric cars. Sure, you'll have lots of petrol heads who'll be resistant at first, but after they keep getting left for dead at the lights, they'll change their minds.
It's like I remember a lot of professional photographers were like, never digital.
Yeah,
never digital. Film or nothing.
Film or nothing. Film or nothing. How many are using film now, except for, you know, occasional art exhibits?
Yeah, that's right. I think in 3 to 5 years, demand for fossil-fueled vehicles will fall off a cliff. Supply of second-hand fossil-fueled vehicles will go through the roof.
Yep.
And the value of second-hand fossil-fueled vehicles will fall through the floor.
Yeah.
It's got to. It's only a matter of time. I mean, I might have the time frame wrong.
I would not buy a new fossil-fueled car now. If you need a car, I would get a lower-cost second-hand one, if you can't afford the current electrics, and then wait for the electrics to come down in price. Get one of them. Or maybe just a car-sharing scheme will suit you. Who knows?
I agree. I agree.
Or a bicycle.
Or a bicycle.
Horse.
Horse.
They're hard to... I don't ride my horse. It's for ex-wives and children only. For obvious reasons.
Bedtime?
It'd be animal cruelty. Bedtime, yes. And I'll write an article on cars for you. How's that?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
No problems.
Good night.
Good night.